Olivia, I think the SARS books are over here.
Oh look, how about this one?
That's perfect. Let's check it out.
Hi Sheila, I'm Dr. Hanner.
Nice to meet you.
What can I do for you today?
I've just been having all these symptoms.
Oh, I'm so cold. I'm so cold. Oh God. Oh no, I have a fever. Oh, I'm so achy. Oh, let's see. Chew.
In charge kids.
It looks like pneumonia, so I'm going to give you some antibiotics.
Thank you.
Hopefully your symptoms don't get worse. If they do, go to the ER.
Okay, thank you.
We should get a test today.
No, it was okay. Are you okay? Can you breathe? Are you okay? I'm calling germs. Germs? Hello?
I think this might be something that's more severe than pneumonia. I've seen a few other cases. I'm going to go consult with some of my colleagues. Dr. John, Dr. Kiki, thank you so much for coming today. I've had a few patients. They're presenting with what looks like atypical pneumonia. They're not responding to treatment. I was wondering if you had any ideas that could help me solve this.
Well, that's really interesting. I actually had a couple cases of atypical pneumonia as well and wasn't sure how to treat them. From our earlier phone conversation, I wrote down a few notes of symptoms we've observed. Dr. John, I just wanted to share them with you. We've observed fevers, temperatures usually at least 100 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, headaches, body aches, discomfort in general, mild respiratory problems, which usually escalate into inability to breathe, requiring hospitalization. Some people even got diarrhea, cough developed, and there was pneumonia symptoms, respiratory deterioration resulting then in hospitalization, and some people developed acute respiratory distress, and we have experienced a few deaths.
So my lab team and I have discovered that this is a coronavirus, and we've decided to call it severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS. We've discovered that it can survive for 2 to 3 days in room temperature on surfaces and 2 to 4 days in feces.
Wow. Have you figured out what the natural reservoir is?
We actually have. We've discovered that the natural reservoir is horseshoe bats, but the amplifying host is civets. And actually the second patient that we have documented for this was a chef who routinely handled game animals like civets. We've also discovered that it appears to spread in lower temperatures, and then the incidence goes down when we get into like springtime. And this can be due to both decreased immunity during this time period and the warmer indoor temperatures during the winter time. We also discovered that hospital workers seem to be more vulnerable to this than the rest of the population, probably because they don't have adequate protection when they're coming into contact with SARS-infected patients. And we've seen secondary cases across 5 continents because the agent's being transmitted on planes, and this is making travelers vulnerable to the disease as well.
That's really interesting. Actually, at the Hanoi French Hospital, we had attack rates for any doctor that was exposed to a SARS patient at 16%. Nurses were at 35%, and the overall attack rate for our hospital was 18%. From what we found, the attack rate for anyone is about 4.6%. These attack rates are a really big problem. Do you have anything we could do to prevent the spread in hospitals?
Yeah, that's right. So to prevent the sickness from spreading, we should have all patients placed in negative pressure rooms so that the droplets don't spread to other parts of the hospital. All the doctors and nurses in their room should wear masks and gowns to prevent the spread. And we should have special precautions to limit mother-to-child transmission during delivery. But really need to start thinking about surveillance. How do you think we're going to have a standardized case definition?
From the trends we've observed, I would say a suspect case is someone who presents after November 1st, 2002 with a high fever, cough, difficulty breathing, and one or more exposures 10 days prior to close contact with a person suspect or probable of SARS as well, had traveled to an area with SARS, or residing in an area that has SARS cases.
Great meeting. I'll get started on my report for the Public Health Department.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm John,
And I'm Elaine.
and we're your hosts.
Welcome to the Evening News with John and Elaine, broadcasting live from Arube Hall, the cleanest building on campus. In this special report on the outbreak of SARS, a coronavirus sweeping the world, an index case was reported in Guangdong on the 16th of November, 2002. Location-wise, SARS has been mostly found in mainland China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Canada, and Singapore, so it can be labeled as a pandemic. It also has a case fatality rate of 3%. SARS hit Hong Kong and Toronto the hardest, even though they're both high-income developed countries. Elaine, what do you have on the social determinants of health?
Sure, John. So during the outbreak, people who are living closer to medical facilities have actually not been affected according to early data. Now, this may sound counterintuitive, but it may be a result of behavior. So the general public has been reported anecdotally to have avoided health facilities throughout this outbreak. Now, the next thing is a little bit difficult to correlate between income and risk of SARS, but there has been some evidence saying that high income and high education populations are at lower risk, and this may be due to better public education, better baseline health or a dedication to baseline health, healthier behaviors, or better nutrition, or the ability to have them in general. But at the same time, evidence has also shown that high income groups may be more stressed or in contact with others, and that can also increase the risk of SARS. So because of the two conflicting pieces of data, it's difficult to tell whether high income is actually related to SARS risk. And now in relation to job industries, SARS incidence rates have been highest among workers who, for example, work in shops and in service industries, and less so in education fields. Now, all of these can be tied to increased contact with the general public, and the spread of SARS among medical personnel has also been high, but decreased, for example, in Hong Kong after the implementation of protective gear. There have also been an increased incidence of SARS for populations who use public transportation. Again, that might be tied to the increased contact with the general public, and there have been correlations between colder weather and an increased incidence of SARS. And now back to you, John. Can you tell us a little bit more about how SARS can be prevented?
Sure. So on the primary level, authorities have identified game animals used for food as a source of the outbreak and are exploring increased regulations as a primary prevention technique. On the secondary level, they're going to monitor those at risk for SARS infections, including healthcare providers and people who have recently traveled to an area with the SARS outbreak. They're also going to institute quarantines for those who've had recent contact with the SARS-infected individual. Their message to you, always make sure to wash your hands and seek treatment if you think you're sick. Now, some exclusive footage.
Hi, John. How are you feeling today?
Not great.
How are the lungs? How's the cough? Oh, that does not sound good.
No, it doesn't.
Let's get a listen. Take a deep breath in. Are you having difficulty breathing?
Sure am.
Sounds like pneumonia, but the symptoms just don't add up, and you haven't
Almost
been
like it's
doing the
not
treatment.
typical.
Yeah, I'll keep working on it.
Okay.
And now on to Kiki, our special correspondent.
Thank you, John and Elaine, and good evening. As you can see, as of April 8, 2003, we've had 2,671 cases of SARS in the world. With the outbreak starting in China, Southeast Asia has the highest concentration of cases, Through international travel, it has spread worldwide. Australia, Europe, and the Americas. East Asia and the Americas, local transmission is rampant, so make sure to wash your hands and wear your masks. And now let's take a look at the epi curve. As you can see here, we have our first index case, November 16, 2002. From here, the disease spread rapidly, gaining momentum, upward trend of a high in March with 140 new cases. It is tapered down now. This is a propagated source outbreak, has some peaks and falls as we go, but really having that upward trend here as the disease spreads globally. Of interest to you all, here you can see the epi curve for the United States. Our first case happening in January 2003. The United States' highest peak can be seen in late March at 3 new cases per day. Seems to be tapering off, folks, though, so don't worry. I think the disease will be gone soon.
Thank you and have a great night.
Hi Sheila, how are you feeling today?
I'm okay. I'm definitely not better, but I'm not worse. Like, it's still hard to breathe a little bit, and the cough is still here.
I'm sorry to hear that. We're going to do our best to get you feeling better. I've consulted with some colleagues, and we think that you have something that's called severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS. It's a virus. Do you know if you've been in contact with anyone who has symptoms similar to yours?
Oh, hey, John. How are you?
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
Okay, that sounds like something that could have caused this. I'm going to give you some more antibiotics, put you on some fluids, and put you on a respirator to make sure that you can breathe okay. And to keep other people safe, we're going to put you in a negative pressure room to make sure nothing spreads.
Sounds good. How long do you think it will take?
Hopefully we'll get you out of here in no time, but there will be a bit of a lengthy recovery.
Am I gonna die?
We're going to do everything to make sure that that doesn't happen, and there's a very low fatality rate for this disease.
Okay, good. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for all your help.
You're good to come out, Sheila.
Yay! Woo! Thanks for all your help.
No problem.
So glad we read that. A SARS outbreak sounded really serious. I had no idea.
Sheila was a fictional patient, and the physicians and public health officials in this video were played by Georgetown students. However, all the information delivered is true. Here are some of the survivors' stories.
聽到有一種病毒入侵，但係我住院嘅期間咧係威爾斯感染嗰班見習醫生係混埋一齊嘅。後來出咗個幾月之後咧，一路走去鍛鍊，去學行路，恢復我自己嘅體能。咁體能之後咧，突然間又發現骨枯，所以嗰個情緒好高漲，崩潰，精神崩潰。
My husband brought me to the A&E, and that moment I know that something is wrong in Singapore. The whole ED, emergency department, was full of, public for screening.
My temperature was 39.3, so the temperature was really raising very fast and high.
There's only one thought. I was just thinking whether I will be waking up the next day, because it was very bad.
I was really scared at that point of time. I'm scared because when I look at my hands and my legs, because it's already half cyanotic, and it reminded me of my patient who passed on.
Our fictional account may appear to make light of the first SARS outbreak, but the disease took the lives of over 700 individuals. SARS was an unexpected and deadly outbreak. Who knows if another one or even a worse outbreak will happen?